Larian Studios has hinted at a new difficulty setting known as Honor Mode being added to Baldur's Gate 3. It's likely going to function as in Divinity Original Sin 2, where Honor Mode basically means you can't save scum, and if you lose a single combat scenario in your entire playthrough, you have to start all over again. In other words, it's permadeath mode where you have no flexibility to go back to previous saves to get yourself out of sticky situations. Challenging for sure, and for the occasion I'm going to go over 4 builds that are absolutely completely broken in Baldur's Gate 3 in this video. Now I'm going to specifically mention 4 builds in this video because the idea is to combine these builds as they synergize extremely well together. And thus you want to form a party with them to get something very destructive and adaptable to any scenario. And also important to note is that as a kid I always wanted to visit space, and would you look at that, a wild Star Trek Fleet Command appeared. Thanks to them for sponsoring today's video. In Star Trek Fleet Command there's an open world that offers a fast and diverse space landscape where you can explore freely, and the game is free to play so everyone can get to try it out, while also providing you stunning graphics. What more could you possibly want? Well, maybe iconic Star Trek characters, ships and tech, for example like Captain Kirk and Spock or Michael Burnham, along with iconic ships such as the Enterprise. The incorporation of advanced Star Trek technology like transporters and replicators adds depth to the game and provides strategic options that align with the franchise spirit of exploration and innovation. But the game also provides you epic battles with players all over the world, making the game a highly thrilling and fun competitive experience, especially because there will be a lot of diversity in playstyles. With a lot of real players, then naturally also communities will emerge and you can form your own friendships through the Star Trek universe. So check out Star Trek Fleet Command using the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen, and I have a special promo code for you guys, WARSPEED, as shown on screen, that you can use in-game to activate a bunch of bonuses. Just follow the steps in the description and you'll get a bunch of epic stuff with my promo code. Enjoy! First of all, we're going to start off with the Frontliner, which will be the Stun, Radiant Thunder, Reverberation, Tiger, Wolverine, Barbarian build. This is a Barbarian build that I developed a few weeks ago, and I posted on my channel and beat solo Tactician mode with it. So it suffices for solo play on Tactician mode, which in turn will mean that it's a great contender for Honor mode and upcoming difficulty increases for Baldur's Gate 3. Why this build is so great is that it basically gives you infinite crowd control opportunities in an AoE capacity thanks to Tiger's Blood Loss. Yes, you heard that right. You will crowd control multiple targets at the same time while damaging them. What more could you possibly want? And with Tiger's Bloodlust Bleed application, it synergizes with a ton of different statuses that inflict extra damage on your enemies, like Reverberation, adding thunder damage to the equation, but also CC like Maim from the Wolverine Beast aspect. Using this Barbarian build in particular as a frontliner is a great option, as it also has great HP and sustain through both its defensive capabilities as well as its continuous application of crowd control to mitigate incoming damage. And this is a very important aspect, as it means that you can completely stun lock enemies and just control any battlefield. Due to this Barbarian build making extensive use of attacking in an AoE manner and thus deals damage to multiple targets at the same time, the damage output ramps up very quickly and is also really good, because you also have multiple instances of attacking within the same turn due to the multi-cleansing aspect of the build, and is also backed by the rage mechanic of the Barbarian to make us as deadly as possible. Now for all the details, leveling, micro and macro strategy, as well as just how to make sure you get this ridiculous type of damage and crowd control all in one, check out my full video for this build so you know how to make the build yourself, and also how to play with the build and everything you need to know. Link for this build will be in the description. Aside from the Frontliner, we need a striker, and no A-team exists truly without the Monk. Larian Studios has hyper buffed the Monk in BG3 compared to tabletop to such ridiculous heights that it's easily part of the most broken builds roster, no discussion possible. I prefer to go 9 Monk 3 Rogue. This gives you all the benefits you need as a striker being pure melee DPS, upfront damage to erase enemies like they never even existed in the first place, and doing so consecutively, back to back, making this another build that destroys solo Tactician mode, as you can attack 10 times in a row consistently, not exaggerating, and yeah, destroy everything. Since a Monk has a lot of damage in its bonus actions, the 3 Rogue subclass Thief comes in very handy, as it simply means you get an additional bonus action every single turn thanks to to fast hands. The beauty of a monk build is that you can assimilate both its capabilities to make use of dexterity and strength to make such a monstrous build that has high initiative as well as high damage. The reason is because you can make use of the game's infinite potion capabilities to raise your strength as high as possible, which in turn is amplified to Tavern Brawler as it doubles all your damage through your fists and your bare fists and knuckles, as a monk is your weapon in fact. Monks also get high mobility as well as AoE capabilities with my build specifically, so a lot of synergies, a lot of damage, solo tactician mode, destruction, and everything you need. If I might be brutally honest, there might not be a better DPS build for honor mode than this one. All the details, how to level, gear, strategy, and combat strategy is in my monk videos. Check it out, link in the description, so you know all the intricacies of this build and class. When we say striker, we also then need a blaster. The blaster is a ranged, non-physical DPS, and immediately we have a quandary here. Do we go sorcerer, wizard, warlock, or anything else? They all have potential in my opinion, and you can check my pure sorcerer and pure warlock builds as well on my channel to get a good blaster monoclass build going. However, for specifically the synergy with the fourth build that I'm going to be mentioning in this video in a minute or so, I will go for a mix known as the Crit Machine Gun Sarlacc build. The idea is simple: blast, blast, and blast. Blast as much as possible in a single turn to make quick work of everything, making it yet another great build for solo tactician and by extension the upcoming honor mode. It's not just about amplifying the number of eldritch blasts that you can cast per turn, but also the damage of each individual blast through your gear. And not only that, but also incorporating utility in these blasts to control the battlefield through your invocations. Warlocks also get a bunch of useful class-bound spells that you can use in addition to supplement the build, and through your sorcerer roots you have the options to use meta magic to enhance your damage output even more. This build is just really insane and can do it all. It's an excellent option for the blaster spot. Again, full description, details, gear, everything you need to know to actually replicate the build in your game is in the video that I will put a link to in the description. And then finally we need a controller, a support type of character that operates as a Swiss knife. What that essentially means is that our controller needs to be able to do everything to control the flow of the battle. Literally, this is the perfect hotbar for a controller. Heals on the left, buffs and debuffs in the central left position, crowd control in the central right position, and then damage and zoning tools on the right part of the hotbar. And that's exactly what, say, a Lord Bar can do with a bit of multi-classing. This is a perfect build for the controller slot, very powerful and can do everything. Through feats like Warcaster, we then also make sure that our concentration spells remain active as long as possible, and through useful combos like main action into Sanctuary, we can take that idea even more to the next level. Nothing can target us under Sanctuary, giving us a carte blanche in casting and maintaining powerful concentration spells. The build also makes your heals super buffed and modifies them to have all kinds of very useful buffs ingrained in those heals. The build is full with useful combos like that, but the most important takeaway is that you have an answer to any type of combat scenario in the game. Also even non-combat scenarios with my lore part build. Check the video out for all the details on how to make the build yourself as well as split. Link for it is in the description. Now, why exactly these four builds in tandem? The reality is that a warlock oriented build as well as a monk oriented build will both benefit from short rest, as their core functions that fuel their power reset on a short rest. For a monk, that will be its key charges, and for a warlock, it's the warlock spell slot. The Bard provides an additional short rest for every long rest, ramping the power of these two classes significantly. And then the Barbarian has that up-close AoE CC to deter enemies from reaching other party members, while the Bard has ranged AoE and single target CC to set up nicely for the insane damage for our DPS in this party, ultimately making the synergies of everything in this party composition truly terrifying. Like the video, subscribe, you know what to do, and also if you want to support the channel, make sure to become a Patreon. On my Patreon you will find written guides of all my Baldur's Gate 3 builds as a little thank you for your support for those that want written guides as well. Thank you for watching.